Imagine standing on the walls of Jerusalem, looking down at a sea of 185,000 ruthless Assyrian soldiers ready to burn your city to the ground. The most terrifying army in the ancient world has you surrounded, their campfires stretching like angry stars, their swords sharpened for slaughter, and deep down, you know there is absolutely no escape. This wasn't just a battle, it was a death sentence for God's people, a moment where fear screamed louder than faith and hope seemed utterly lost. But what happened next defies all logic, military strategy, and human understanding, proving that when you have nothing left but a prayer, you have the most powerful weapon of all. Before we witness how one angel silenced an entire empire in a single night, welcome to Bible and Prophecy, your home for uncovering ancient truths that still speak today. Please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs a miracle, because we are about to discover how a king's desperate cry turned a massacre into history's greatest deliverance. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the walls of your city. Below you, stretching as far as the eye can see, lies the greatest army in the ancient world. 185,000 trained Assyrian soldiers. Their campfires flicker in the night like a sea of angry stars, and the moonlight gleams off thousands of spears and shields. You hear the rhythmic beating of war drums and taunts, shouted in a language you barely understand. Deep down, you know that when the sun rises, they plan to destroy everything you love. You feel powerless, you feel small, and in the silence of your heart, you whisper, "Where is God? Has he forgotten us?" But what happens next is something no historian, no king, and no general could have ever predicted. One angel, one night, and by morning, an entire empire is silenced. Before we dive into this incredible true story of deliverance, welcome to Bible and Prophecy. If you are looking for ancient truths that still speak to your life today, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell icon. You do not want to miss the stories we have coming up. Picture the dusty streets of ancient Jerusalem. The smell of olive oil and burning lamps drifts through narrow alleys, but tonight the air is thick with fear. Merchants are packing up early, mothers are clutching their children tight. The whisper moves from door to door. The Assyrians are here. The Assyrian Empire wasn't just another enemy. They were legendary for their brutality. They were a war machine that left cities smoldering and dragged captives away with hooks in their noses. Standing on those walls, feeling the vibration of marching feet, you would wonder if you'd ever see your family free again. Have you ever felt a fear like that? Maybe you don't have an army outside your door, but you feel something unstoppable closing in on you. A medical report that stops time, a financial crisis that threatens your home, a message that changes your life in an instant. It is that sinking feeling that you are powerless to fight. For the people of Jerusalem, that is exactly where they stood. To make matters worse, their enemy, King Sennacherib, waged a war of fear. He sent messengers to the city gates to shout insults in Hebrew so everyone could hear. They mocked, "Don't let your God deceive you. None of the gods of other nations saved them. What makes you think your God is different?" Imagine the pain of that. Someone mocking the very thing you put your hope in loudly enough for your children to hear. If someone shouted that your faith was useless today, would you hold on, or would fear break you? While the people trembled, King Hezekiah stood in the palace. He wasn't a perfect man, but in this moment of crisis, he made a choice that changed history. He had soldiers, he had wealth, and he had walls, but he knew none of that could stop the Assyrians. So he did something that goes against every instinct of human power. He knelt. The Bible tells us that when Hezekiah received the threatening letter from the enemy, he took it straight to the temple. Imagine him, a king in royal robes, stepping into the quiet, sacred candlelight. He spreads that letter out before God as if to say, "Lord, look at what they are saying. This battle isn't mine anymore, it is yours." And he prays, "O Lord, God of Israel, you alone are God of all the kingdoms of the earth. Save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you, O Lord, are God alone. I love that prayer. He doesn't pretend to be strong. He admits he is weak, but he declares that God is able. When trouble hits you, what is your first instinct? Do you run to Google? Do you call a friend? Or do you go to the one who holds tomorrow? Imagine how our lives would change if we spread our fears out before God, just like Hezekiah spread that letter. While the city held its breath, God answered through the prophet Isaiah, "He shall not come into this city, for I will defend this city to save it." Night falls. Outside, the Assyrian soldiers eat, laugh, and boast about tomorrow's victory. They are the most feared army on earth. They have no reason to be afraid, but they forgot one thing. Jerusalem wasn't defended by stone walls alone. It was defended by the living God. Then, quietly, unseen by human eyes, something moves through the darkness. The Bible describes it with chilling simplicity. And it came to pass that night that the angel of the Lord went out and struck down 185,000 in the camp of the Assyrians. No long battle, no dramatic struggle, just one angel and absolute silence. When the sun rose, the silence over the enemy camp was deafening. The army that had terrified the world was gone. Sennacherib, the king who mocked God, fled home in shame, his power broken without a single arrow fired from Jerusalem. It is a humbling reminder. The things we fear most can be swept away in a moment by a power we cannot see. Do you believe miracles like this still happen? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. From terror to triumph, Jerusalem woke up to salvation. They realized that their strategy didn't save them. God did. But here is the tragedy of human nature. We often forget. Sennacherib died years later, murdered by his own sons while bowing to a wooden idol. A tragic end for a man blinded by pride. But for us, the lesson is clear. Pride destroys, but humility saves. Hezekiah's story echoes through the ages to ask us one question. What is the Assyrian army facing you today? And are you trying to fight it alone? There is a gentler, wiser way. Like Hezekiah, lay it down. Trust the God who fights for you. If this story encouraged you, please share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to Bible and Prophecy. Remember, the God who defended Jerusalem is still writing stories of hope today. Until next time, stay humble and keep the faith. Imagine stepping onto the city walls that morning, bracing yourself for the worst, only to find absolute silence. No charging soldiers, no battering rams rolling forward, just an empty, quiet battlefield. In the distance, the shapes of the few Assyrian survivors are fleeing in panic. Word spreads through the city like fire, passing from soldier to merchant, from parent to child. The army is gone. God has delivered us. I wonder what the prayers sounded like that morning. Tears running down cheeks that hadn't dared to hope the night before. King Hezekiah must have stood there, overwhelmed. He realized that all his plans, his alliances, and his fortifications didn't save the city. Only God did. It is a humbling realization that after doing everything humanly possible, true salvation still comes from beyond human strength. But this brings us to a difficult question. Do we really remember our miracles? When a crisis hits, we cry out. We beg God to move. But what happens after the danger passes? Do we keep telling the story? Or do we slip back into routine, almost embarrassed by how desperate we once were? The people of Jerusalem had every reason to remember. This wasn't a hidden blessing. It was a miracle visible to the whole world. One night, one angel, and an impossible victory. If you or I witnessed something like that, do you think we would ever forget? Be honest. Have you ever had an answered prayer, something you thought was impossible, that eventually faded into the background of your life? If that resonates with you, share it in the comments. It is a deeply human struggle. Our memory of miracles can be short, but for Hezekiah, this became a story retold for generations. Not just about an angel, but about the God who fights our battles. Now consider the other side of this story. Imagine Sennacherib stepping back into his capital, Nineveh. This king, who had terrified nations and mocked the God of Israel, comes home not in triumph, but in quiet disgrace. His palace walls still boast of his past victories, cities burned, kings kneeling in chains. But there is a silence carved into history regarding Jerusalem. He could not record a victory he didn't win. History tells us what the Bible summarizes so powerfully. Sennacherib wasn't defeated by an opposing army. He was defeated by his own pride. The Bible records in 2 Kings 19:37 that one day, while he was worshipping in the temple of his god Nisroch, his own sons struck him down with the sword. The man who mocked the living God died on his knees before an idol of wood and stone, betrayed by the very legacy he tried to build. It is a chilling reminder. Pride blinds us. It whispers that our wealth, our reputation, or our strength can shield us from everything. But the higher we lift ourselves without God, the harder we fall. So what about us? We may not lead empires, but we fight battles every day. Fears that feel bigger than us. Stress about our future, our health, our families, and yes, our own pride that whispers, "You don't need help, you've got this." But there is a gentler, wiser way, Hezekiah's way, to do all we can, and then kneel and say, "Lord, this is bigger than me. I trust you to fight what I can't." It feels weak, but in truth that is where real strength begins. Humility protects us where pride destroys us. What battle are you facing right now? Are you trying to face it in your own strength, or are you willing to humble yourself and ask God to step in? If you feel comfortable, share your story in the comments. Your testimony might give hope to someone else who feels surrounded right now. Sennacherib's end wasn't just the fall of a king. It was the fall of pride itself. And the living God who defended Jerusalem still writes new stories of rescue today for anyone willing to trust him. If this story moved you, taught you something new, or helped you see faith in a fresh way, please like this video, subscribe to Bible and Prophecy, and click the bell icon so you don't miss the next story. Thanks for spending this time together. Until next time, stay humble, stay hopeful, and keep the faith.